Welcome to the Craze in 10 or less. This is the show where I give it to you in 10 minutes or under, and if I don't, that's that age-old question, isn't it? Anyway, can you make it on talent alone? That's the topic of the day. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera. Stop acting up. Let's get it. So, talent versus grind. So, the reason why I decided to have this discussion is because I watched a documentary with Image Comics in the early stages when they blew up. And one of the things that stood out to me during that interview, whether it's with Mark Silvestri or Todd McFarlane, was in the beginning, there was a decision made to not lock anybody into contracts, to allow people to own their own stuff. And there were a group of talented artists that were hired or were working on projects, and they received major paydays because Image was selling millions of books. So there's more money that anybody's ever seen, and a lot of the guys or gals in the early days took the money and ran, and you didn't hear from them again. So I wound up thinking, is talent enough? Or do you need that special something, that work ethic, that grind? Right? I know if we all sit down, let's say you and I were sitting at a bar, chatting it up, I guarantee you we can make a list of so many people we've seen that were so talented that just vanished, and we asked ourselves, what happened to them? Where are they? But when we're asking ourselves that question, we know the answer to that. We know that just the work ethic wasn't there. That grind wasn't there. And this isn't a pointing fingers conversation. This is a awakening, right? Because you've heard me say it. You've heard George and I discuss it on Catch the Craze over and over again. It's getting harder and harder and harder and harder to compete. While technology has made things easier, what's made it more challenging is the time you're willing to put into it. So let's think about how good you can be. Let's think about, and not only that, I don't think, so as I'm sitting here talking to you, there's a quote: you don't have the talent to win on talent alone. This is by Herb Brooks, right? You don't have the talent to win on talent alone. You can't be a Todd McFarlane without grinding the way Todd McFarlane has grinded. Drawing hands over and over again, drawing feet over and over again, drawing positions, back, knees, legs, limbs, over and over again. Just so that he can be fluid when he's illustrating. So that way he has the basic understanding of the human form and how it moves. And then he can manipulate it as he wills it, right? You can't be a Steven Spielberg if you're not a student of the game. It's like, Sam, he's film. What are you doing? All right, I'll bring it back. I'm going to reel it in. Charles Schultz. Now, many would argue that his art style is very basic. But if you looked at his early works of the Peanuts versus how it's evolved and how he's matured as an illustrator, a comic strip illustrator, you can see that because of his craft, he was not satisfied with the early looks, and he kept working and working and working until he got the look that he really, really liked. Because Snoopy looks so much different, right? So did Charlie Brown. But it's the hustle, it's the work ethic. And I was talking to George on one of the shows, and I think it was, might have been Christian Aluas, or I forgot who it was, who has a similar philosophy. Draw a sketch every day. If I'm wrong, correct me, please. But I think it was that. And so, mind you, this is 6 a.m. and I'm doing this, right? There's a reflection of my grind. This is my cup of joe. So I started running through and looking at different articles. And this I pulled from medium.com, and it says, when two individuals are equally talented, only effort will make the difference. So I'll give you an example. When I started in Crazy Comics back in the days, you know, the funny thing is I have so many thoughts in my head, and then it just like gets caught up right here. And so when it comes out, I'm like, blah, blah, blah. So when I started Crazy Comics back in the days, I mean, I was working. I was out working. Anybody and everybody that I was working, I was competing with the world, I was competing with myself. And because the reason why I worked so hard is because I knew I wasn't the best artist, and I knew I wasn't the best writer. But if I put in the grind and added a sprinkle of charisma, that I will get the exposure faster and get my product out there a little quicker than most, by having the product, but also pushing it forward through the hustle and the work and the constant networking and all that stuff. And I'm an example of somebody who disappeared from the game, and at a time where I'd argue that had I stood at least another year, it'd be a different story now, right? So which is why I work as hard as I do now. I want to make up for lost time. I want to prove something to me. And what I'm fighting with is my inner demons, and I'm fighting with the clock. Because the clock is moving, and I'm trying to keep up with it. Or outrun it. My goal is to make the clock catch up to me. So the purpose of this conversation is for you and me and everybody out there who's a talent to step back and say, have I put in the necessary work required to make this that I've committed to a success? Because you don't have to be the best artist. You just have to be your best agent. You have to be your best promoter. In order to do that, you need to make sure that you've produced the best product you can, given the skills that you have. And then you're making all the right moves. That requires a lot of hats. So your talent gets better through the daily hustle. So I've been training myself, whether it's with production of the podcast, whether it's production of the book, the design of the websites. I challenge myself every day to try to keep up with the times, to try to break new ground, to try to surprise myself, and force myself when I want to quit, when I want to sleep, when I want a few days off, to fight through it and get some work done. So don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't assume because you're a talented artist that it's a given that you're going to have a job, because the people that get hired are the ones who produce consistently. The people that get hired are the ones that maintain the level of quality, that are likable, reliable, relatable. So the ones that are constantly getting more work are the ones that people just like being around. Easy to talk to, easy to work with. The ones who think, well, because I'm a talent, I'll do it when I do it. Yeah, I'll get to it. I don't want to answer my phone right now. So you're not responding to the clients in a timely manner. This goes the same for any talent, whether you're a musician, whether you're a writer, whether you're an athlete. If you're not on that field training with the others, you're going to see your purse get smaller. So your grind impacts your pockets. If you want to put it in simple terms, your grind impacts your pockets, not your talent. Your talent got you through the door. Your grind is going to keep you coming back and everyone asking for more. So think about that. That was the topic of the day. If you want to hear more about this, just let us know, and George and I will go into detail on Craze. Remember, this is just snippets, so I don't go so deep, but just to provide something to think about. So as you know, in a couple of weeks, the 26th, we will be launching our first Kickstarter. My first Kickstarter ever, and this is George's second, because he'd done it before. I think it was for Russ or for Wonder Duck, I'm not sure. But it's our first together as a duo. So we're excited. We need your support. If you're a fan of the Craze, and if you're digging what we're doing with Cast the Crazies, if you've seen the trailer and you've seen episode 200, if you didn't watch episode 200, you need to watch it. That will give you an entire insight. It was an amazing show. It was fun. A lot of participation with the audience, a lot of testimonials. It was awesome. But September 26th, I will go live on YouTube with George on the 26th to launch the Kickstarter. We need your support. We have a talented artist named Marciak Empro working on the interiors. George and I are writing the book together. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. If you haven't checked it out, check out what's in the box. Also, check out Join the Crazies and Cast the Crazies. There's a whole lot of stuff. Talk about work ethic. Anyway, I appreciate you. You have a safe and blessed life. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe. It won't hurt. I'm Santa Crazy Man Vera. I'm out. Peace.